Your exams for the summer of 2021 been cancelled? Are you worried or unsure on what you're supposed to do but still want to get the best grades you can achieve? Then this video is for you. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Praise, and if you're watching this, your exams have probably been cancelled for this year. Now today I'm going to be telling you some tips and tricks that I use, or some useful tips which I would recommend, because this time last year I was revising for my A-level exams, which I didn't have because Bojo did a 180 on me and other students, so those exams did not happen. Like how I was feeling last year, I did do a video, so if you want to watch it after this one, I will put it up somewhere here and you can go watch that, so you can see that however you may be feeling, I was feeling the exact same way last year, so you don't need to worry. But going through that whole process to results day not going to plan, A-levels not going to plan, even if you're in GCSEs, I'm going to be telling you everything I did from the point my exams were cancelled to results day, and some useful tips that I would recommend that you do in order to achieve the best results possible. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first tip that I would recommend is to stay calm, stay positive, and try your best to be motivated. I remember when Bojo, and I keep saying Bojo and it sounds disrespectful, doesn't it? When Boris said exams were cancelled, I said not on my watch, and I did not sit those exams. Honestly, I was just very shocked, to be honest, because I was like, those 2 years of A-levels was actually quite stressful, so you're telling me I went through that stress just not to sit them, and then results day was even worse, and I was like, wow. Anyways, the first thing I would say is, I know it may be hard, like, to try and stay calm and try your best not to worry, but worrying isn't going to get you anywhere. The best thing to do is to try your best to have an optimistic outlook on everything, understand like why this is happening, why we're not sitting these exams anyway, and just keep it stepping, keep it moving. Try your best to just stay calm. Sitting your exams is one thing, like that's a lot of stress, but not sitting them, it's like, okay, so who's giving me my grade? So just try your best to stay calm, try your best to continue to stay motivated, because I know a lot of people might think because you're not having these exams you don't need to work, and that's the biggest misconception ever, but I will get onto that later. Also, along with this, I'd say have the impression that this is the government's second chance to get things right. So they messed up with me, but they can do much better with you, so you're in a much better position than it being the first time round. If you think of it like that, I think that should help you in a way to have a better outlook on everything and know that you will be fine, you will be all right. Also, you still need to find that drive that you would have had as if you were doing the exams. Like I said before, even though you're not doing these exams, they are still important. Like this whole run up to results day is still important. Every piece of work your teacher sets you, all the coursework that you have to submit, all of that is still important. So just try your best to continue to have that drive, that motivation all the way up to it. Another tip that I would recommend in order to help you during this time is find balance. For me, something that helped me was sticking to my school schedule. So that would mean waking up when I would normally wake up as if I were going to school, having lunch when I would have had lunch in school, having a break when I would have had a break in school, if you get what I'm saying. Even if it's just waking up, getting ready as if you were going to school, obviously not wearing your uniform or anything, but changing into clothes that make you feel like you're ready to do work will help you a lot more. Online school is definitely much harder than going into school. Like, I'm speaking from experience, I'm having uni online and that's not a bit of me, but I can't do anything about it. So getting ready as if you were going in will help you. Sticking to that schedule, I don't really have a schedule, but when I was in sixth form I did have a schedule, so sticking to your sixth form, your colleges, your school schedule as if you were going in is another thing that you should be doing in order to find that balance and keep that balance. Also, for example, when school is over, so my school used to finish at 3:50, I think. Of course, if you have homework, do your homework, but take that evening off. Don't be spending the whole day working, because why are you doing that? You're at home all day. Take that break, take time to relax, go for that one walk we're allowed to go on. Find that balance. The third tip I would like to speak about is working. Now, I spoke about this prior, but I feel like there is a big misconception that just because your exams, whether it's your A-levels or GCSE, just because your exams are cancelled means that you should stop working. Now, that's the biggest lie in the world. If anything, you should be working your socks off, like even harder than you would have done if you were doing these exams, because what you don't have anymore is you're in control of your results. Instead, you're putting someone else in control of what results you get. get. Therefore, you need to show your teachers, who will be giving you those grades, that you are worthy of the grade you would have achieved. Now, someone like me, I've mentioned this before, I would never do well in mocks, but I would do well in exams. I didn't have that last year. All they had were my mock grades, which they weren't what I would have got if I were to do my exam. But this time you don't have that. So therefore, do the work that your school or your teachers set you. Do your coursework up until the deadline. I remember when exams were cancelled, I did not attend my art class because I was no longer having that 9-hour exam. Was I wrong for doing this? 100%. And I remember it because my art teacher came up looking for the whole class. At the end of the day, 3-4 months later, I have another video up on my YouTube channel where I had to complete my A-level art exam instead at home. Doing all your work to the best standard you possibly can, submitting all your work in on time. This is everything that your teachers will be using to give you your grade, your mock grade, your homework, your coursework. All of these are what your teachers will be assessing for your final grade. So making sure you do your best in all of that and continuing to work is another tip that I would recommend. Along with this, have faith in your school. Listen to what they're telling you. Each school ran things differently. I know schools who just based it on their students' mock grades. I know schools like mine who gave me work. I had another set of mocks, even though they weren't really mocks, but they were final exams. I had to submit coursework still. So listening to what school is telling you is another crucial thing. Another thing that I would recommend is keep learning and studying your concepts. So this depends on what degree you're going to go on in uni, or even if you're doing a gap year for medic. I know some of my friends, a lot of the biology content that they needed for their medicine degree, they needed that information. Now, I had classes stop off like quite early, so they weren't teaching me any new content, but I was going over like everything from before. Some of this information you still will need, so that's why I would recommend continuing on learning everything from your specification, because it's most likely that you will need some of that information for whichever degree that you're using. For me, I study law. I didn't really need anything, but one of my modules, for example, is basically my 2 years of politics that I studied at A-levels. So it helps you in the long run, because I love that module. I find it easier. I find it easier to get through than others, because I had learnt that information and I continued learning it even after my exams were cancelled. I don't know if this is tip 5, maybe 6, maybe 4, one of those numbers. Another tip that I would recommend is using online resources. There are a bunch of things online that you can use, and I will be linking a lot of them in the description box below. There are threads on the student room. There are YouTube channels that teach you, such as Econ Plus DAO, websites such as Quizlet, getrevising.com, Seneca Learning, Physics and Maths Tutor. There are loads of past papers that you can find online, not necessarily for the exams you're taking, but for the work your teachers are setting you for the mocks you may have. You can also get tutoring. So a friend of mine, he and his friends have a tutoring business called Rand Tutors. You can find their Instagram online. They're all at various universities such as King's, Imperial, and they tutor in biology, math, I'm pretty sure the other sciences too. So if you do need this help, go online, look. I will also put their link in the description box, and their Instagram is here, but that's another way. So there are so many different resources that you can use online to help learn, to help you get content, to help you practice questions, and I will make sure to link them below. But use what you can online to help you during this time. Another thing I would recommend is communication. This is primarily communicating with your teachers. At the end of the day, I think that people never really know how you're feeling unless you tell them, and especially if your teachers aren't seeing you in person, they're not going to know how you're feeling if you're stressed out about something. So it's really important that you communicate what is going on, if there are any problems, if you can't do a piece of work for specific reasons, and letting them know, because that is completely fine. Another friend of mine who also did art, she let my teachers know that she doesn't have paintbrushes at home to be completing work. I didn't even have paint. Like, paint is expensive. First of all, the type of paint you want me to be using is expensive. I can't order it in time to have this piece of work submit by a specific date. It's really important that you let your teachers know and that they are aware that you have this problem, so that when they are assessing your grade or assessing your work, they understand why this has happened, or why your work might not have been up to such a high standard. Also, don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask your teachers for help, ask your friends for help, ask your family for help, ask for help. If you do, it's highly likely that your schools, your colleges, your sixth form might be able to help you in a specific way. I know of people who were still allowed to go into school because they couldn't do it at home, it just wasn't working, or like I said, people who didn't have the resources in order to produce a piece of work. Let them know, ask for help. Oh, also ask students for help, because I know a friend of mine who is in the year above and she studies history at Cambridge. History essays were the death of me. Like, they were, I'm not kidding, I literally learned how to write an essay like to such a good standard for myself, let me just say that, through her. Like, we had a FaceTime call, she spoke to me how they should be written. So ask people around you for help and I'm sure you'll be helping yourself. The last 2 tips that I would recommend is, 1, do not, I repeat, do not throw any of your books away until after results day. Basically what I'm saying is expect the worst but have an optimistic attitude. You need to have all your options available. Even though my school asked for my textbook back, I don't really know what they were expecting if I didn't get the grades, but anyway, keep all your books until after results day. Results day can go up or down for anyone and everyone. Anyone. It can go completely how you expected it and you get your first choice or your insurance, or it can go no way that you expected it and you have to go through clearing, or you get grades that weren't what you expected to the extent that you have to retake those exams. Therefore, keep your notes, keep your revision sources, keep your textbook so that you can use that in case you do have to sit those exams, because nothing is certain. It's never 100% sure that you'll be getting into those universities. So keep those books and keep those resources. The last main thing that I would recommend is that if you have coursework this year, luckily enough for me, I finished coursework the week before Boris, or Mr. Johnson. The week before Boris announced that my exams were cancelled, I had luckily completed my coursework. Like I said before, you're aware much earlier than I was that you're not sitting those exams. So continue and try your best to make sure that your coursework is up to such a high standard, because it will contribute to part of your final grade and it will act for evidence if your teachers ever have to prove why they gave you a specific grade or why your grade is like this to the external assessors. So make sure the coursework you're submitting, the work you're submitting, they're up to a high standard. Any piece of work you produce from now on, just try your best on them. Ultimately, that's what I gotta say. Who would have thought? Not me. That has been it for this video. If I do have any more tips, I will either tell them in the comment section below. If you do have any questions, do also let me know. Like I said, I've been through it. I've honestly been through it. Everyone's stories were different. Everyone ended up in completely different situations. So if you do have any questions, do let me know in the comment section down below. I will also be linking a bunch of resources that you can use to help you study online in the description box below. And that has been it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. It's been your girl Praise, and I will see you next week with another video. Bye. Go shorty, it's your birthday. We gon' party like it's your birthday. We gon' sip